Going on, guys? Jeff Fan here. Kuznetsov on the screen, and Budyonny just unlocked. It's my first game in it. All I got is the steering gears and the AA on there. No other mods. So obviously firing range isn't that good. Defensive torpedoes. Only a 27 AA rating, so not the best. 9.2 on the rudder and 12.3 detectability. So when I was looking at some of the numbers early on, I was not very happy camper-wise. Didn't really love what I was seeing. But you see here, you got a good game. Pretty good balanced setup there. You know, 3 destroyers on each side, so I figured this would be a good chance to test out that Russian radar, 8.1 kilometers at tier 5. I think it's a very, very powerful setup. EOP is what I'm running on this. Okay, and one more thing I'd like to point out. Again, slot 2, I have the extra fire chance as opposed to that far right slot that basically gives you a twist and track closest target to you. So maybe that's the better bet, especially if I'm going to be a destroyer hunter in this thing. So, you know, that's an option. Maybe something to look into. I should look into or whatever. But again, so this is the actually very first game I've ever played in Budyonny. And if you don't believe me, you can go back and look after the game. The amount of XP in this game that I get is actually going to reflect the total XP I have in the ship. So, yeah, the way I do these videos, I play the ship well, then I go back and I pull all those numbers, and then I'll plug them in the video. So, this first game out in the Budyonny, and actually turns out to be a relatively good one. It's not going to be a high damage game, but you guys will see why that is the case. It's more of a target selection that I'm doing that's going to get me the XP and the sinkings. And, of course, there you see I'm running into the island. Not making the best play there, but wasn't paying enough attention to the minimap. Right now, with this build, 9-second rudder is brutal. Just the only way I can put it. That's absolutely brutal. So, big issue there. I don't like the fact that the rudder's so slow on this, but I love the fact that there's a radar. So, it's a trade-off that I'm not too happy about, but I'm not going to be super upset about. So you see here, I back up, I get off the island. I want to support that Matsuki. And you see he's actually in the decap, which is great because him getting into that cap is going to obviously help us out. Because enemies captured A. Okay, so right now they have a points lead on us because of the cap advantage. I see that I'm spotted. I have the sonar going. That's more so just to see any torpedoes that might be on the way. Fubuki pops up there. We start sending some salvos out at the Fubuki. And of course, I was not giving him enough lead. One thing I want to point out, these aren't the 180s on this ship. Okay, these are the 152s, and that's part of the reason why I have EOP. Because if I'm going to be fighting any battleships or anything, I want to get that little bit extra on that penetration so that way I can do more raw damage. The alpha strike damage, you know, whatever, I'm making that trade. It's obviously not the best trade on that. I mean, my max HEL damage is only 1848 right now, which, you know, again, that's not great, but you figure when you start mixing in an 8-second reload time, and then once you start figuring also, once this thing starts getting upgraded here, okay, the rudder's going to go down, torpedo launchers are going to go up to 10. I mean, you know, so this thing's going to get a little bit of a boost. HE is going to go up, or the HP is going to go up to another 5,000. So between all that, I think that I'm willing to make that trade on the EOP. So you see, we end up taking out the destroyer there. We switch over to the AP against this Molotov. Send the salvo out. We know that he's dead because of that salvo. So we don't even have to watch that kill. He goes down. So that's our second, sinking up to 14,000 damage. Battleships that have our broadside, I switch back to the HE, push it into this cloud here, the smoke cloud. A lot of times people aren't paying attention and they don't realize that Budyonny has an 8.1 kilometer radar. Yeah, it's only 15 seconds, but it's 8.1 kilometers, which is pretty darn ridiculous. So we spot the Matsuki, we start sending shells out at him, okay? We're chunking them pretty decent here. Again, 8-second reload. Not the best, but not horrible. I get 2 salvos basically of my from my main batteries. and for some reason he decides he wants to start shooting at a 17,000 HP remaining cruiser. Not a good choice by Matsuki, but we can't choose the decisions that they make in the game. We can only do what we can do. So we're going to punish them for that decision. We're going to get our third sinking there, up to 25,000 damage. Again, this is what I'm talking about. This isn't a great damage game, but we're doing our job. We're fighting. We're pushing in. We're getting our kills. We're doing all those things. You see there some good shots on the Texas, and they're getting 600-700 damage a shell hit, and then we get 1,200 damage in a fire. So again, that's part of the reason why I wanted to try EOP out on this, because against battleships, I'm at least going to be able to have some reasonable damage and some serviceable damage. You see there against Graf Spee, we get him for a 3K salvo. I want to point out Budyonny's AP is nothing to sleep on, even with the 152s. It's still pretty dangerous, and you see there we take a pretty good hit. Obviously Graf Spee's have those Scharnhorst guns on there, the 11-inchers, so it's definitely a cruiser killer. So I'm trying to bait shots. I'm trying to make them think one way and cut it back the other way, and it's hard to do with a 9-second rudder. See there we take another 4K chunk. Reason why I have the AP loaded here, and I'm still keeping the AP loaded, is eventually he's going to give me enough of an angle where I'm going to be able to take him out like that, and that's our force sinking up to 42,000 damage with force sinking. So at this point, basically we've done a great job on this flank with our destroyer and our cruiser and battleship support, and we basically mopped up all the enemies on here. So while we got a little bit of a lull here in a couple of moments, I'm just going to talk through Budyonny, my thoughts on it, where I see this ship, and what my opinion is on it. And obviously, I don't think you can come to the conclusion that I don't have a positive opinion on this ship right now. And that would be true. I do like this ship. I do have a positive view on it. And in general, I think that this is a very strong ship, for Tier 5 especially. Now, obviously, there's some downsides to it. The rudder's horrible. Okay? Rudder's not good. All right? 9 plus whatever rudder time is it's horrible. But like I was saying earlier, once you start upgrading the ship, okay, and I get the hull type B on there, it's going to cut the rudder shift by 2.8 seconds, bring it down to 6.9. It's a little more respectable. Still not right where I'd like it to be, but it's a little more respectable than where it is right now. And again, we've made the choice with the Kutuzov build, right? Or the Kuznetsov as my commander build. For that extra range and whatnot. Okay, so we've made that choice. We're dealing with that, and that obviously is not the best rudder inspiration setup. So you see here, we're trying to go in and we're trying to assist the team. I'm guessing where that enemy destroyer was last projected, and there you see him pop up. You see the direction he's taking. So we're going to throw the rudder on, and we're going to try to go around the right side of this island. Now you see there, this isn't the worst rudder because it still responded relatively well. But again, 9-second on the rudder is not great. So, armor on this thing, you saw we were taking some serious hits. A lot of blue, okay, when you go back and you'll start looking at that. And basically, the main problem that you have is your fore-end and aft-end plating is 13 millimeters. That's going to be able to be penetrated by a lot. And any battleship that looks at you is going to be able to absolutely rip you apart. And your citadel is not well protected either. So yeah, you do have on your side plating, you do have a little bit more, okay? But again, this still is not anything to really look at as like some high damage dealing, high quality, whatever, defense. Your side plating is still 115 your citadel belt. But again, that can easily be penetrated if you're giving people flat broadside. So you have that trade-off there. But again, having the radar is absolutely incredible. And it's only 8.1 instead of 9. But again, at Tier 5, you're going to be fighting Tier 4 ships. And even if you're up-tiered against Tier 6, you're going to be one of the few that actually have that radar. So you're going to have that advantage. And with the 8-second reload, you're going to be able to basically get 2 salvos off if you're anticipating where that destroyer is. So my advice, if you're going to play this ship and how I would recommend playing it, before you pop that radar, try to do the best you can to have an idea where that enemy destroyer is. Pop them, pop the radar. That way when you're looking in that general direction, get that first salvo off right away. Get it loaded. You may end up dropping spot right before that second salvo gets fired off. But if that's the case, not the end of the world. You just got to get ready, and kind of blind fire that last salvo as you're kind of beginning to drop spot there. So by being able to get those 2 salvos off, you're going to be able to take a good chunk off, and you're going to be able to chase off most cruisers, most destroyers. Another thing I want to point out, the AP on this thing is absolutely incredible against enemy cruisers. So do not think this is just an HE firing, HE spamming ship. So you see there, like, this is a prime example. So if I were to pop that radar when I anticipated him being there, then I would have been able to take him out like that with that second salvo. You see those like that. You have to play and strategically plan when you're going to use that radar. But hope you guys liked the video. If you did, leave it a like. We will see you guys out on the high seas. Take care.